Dover Motor Speedway is a monster of a racetrack. Exactly 1 mile in length, Dover has some of the most extreme banking, 24 degrees on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Even the straights are banked at 9 degrees. Constructed between 1967 and 69, Dover Motor Speedway was initially paved with asphalt. It wasn't until 1995's comprehensive revamp that the track was paved in concrete, giving Dover's racing surface its distinctive appearance. No matter the pavement, Dover has long been one of the most competitive tracks on the NASCAR circuit. From 69 through 1980, 21 of the 22 Cup races at Dover Motor Speedway were won by drivers who either already had or would go on to win championships in NASCAR's top series. Those names, those winners, are part of the fabric of the sport. Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, Cal Yarborough, Benny Parsons, and Darrell Waltrip. Jimmy Johnson ranks first all-time with the wins list at Dover with 11 victories, while Allison and Petty rank second. More recently, Jeff Gordon with 4, Mark Martin with 4, and a host of other stock car legends have added their names to the list of Dover winners. A list that also includes Scott Sharp, Greg Ray, who each won a race during Dover's cameo appearance on the IndyCar Racing League circuit in the 1990s. But tonight, it's race number 6, the IROC Challenge Series, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Dover Motor Speedway for Race 6 of Season 9 of the IROC Challenge Series. Segment 2, to be more specific, running the Xfinity car this segment. Let's take a look at the race details tonight. 150 laps the race distance. 96-degree temperature here today. It's going to be a hot one for sure. Drivers working with a full load of fuel, 4 sets of tires over the wall. 1 faster pair, if so necessary, and 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if it comes down to it. Practice just about wrapped up here from the Speedway. Let's go down trackside to see where everyone is lining out. Fast time so far, 23:26, and that's the 3 of Brian McCann picking up right where he left off. Second quick, Chuck Sweeting, then Daniel Dow. The 83 of Brandon Mefford, and the 2 of Neil Quick rounding out your top 5. Mike Koch in the fence there off turn number 2. Again, not a huge issue here in practice. Repairs are made relatively quickly. You just have to reset. Koch hitting the abutment to pit wall there, and those sand-filled barrels protect the end of pit lane. So Kyle Terzak's making a return as well. The 51 machine here in his familiar flat black colors. And I stand corrected, tonight's race distance 200 laps, not 150. To be specific, 200 laps around Dover, well, that's 200 miles. Don't call it the Monster Mile for nothing. Yeah, Terzak trying to hang on to it off 2. Slaps the wall on entry to turn 3, still driving it and trying to save it. Seconds or less in the session. We'll jump right into qualifying immediately following. There is a 10-minute warm-up in this session, so if you have some errands to run before this one, at least inside the house, whether that's pouring yourself a drink, making some snacks, it's a good opportunity to do that. Black and red flags drop on the session, jumping right into qualifying as we said. See who takes to the track first here. So Casey Bentz will jump out onto the racetrack first to go. Number 27 back in action. Tim Schofield, Daniel Dow, Neil Quick all hitting the racetrack as well. Green flag in the air for the 27 of Casey Bentz. He begins his first lap of 2. Again, 2 laps for 5 minutes, whatever completes first. Little wiggle for Bentz off turn 4. Might have caught the wall. Does the lap count? It does. 23.807. Meanwhile, Neil Quick fastest with a 58. Stick with the 27 for now. See if he can pick it up here on lap 2. Seemed like he was trying to get all he could get on that first lap, but did get the fence on exit. Does he do better this time? Doesn't wiggle. Fence across the line. Picks it up. 4.63. Still third quick, though, but everybody in front of him went faster as well. Chuck Sweeting in the 57 out of Hawthorne, Florida. 25.677 on lap number 1. Lap 2 complete for the 57. It is faster, and he goes to the pole. 23.25 for the 57 of Chuck Sweeting. Doesn't last long, though, as Mike Koch jumps to the top as well. 23.244. Mike out of Glen Burnie, Maryland. Not too far a drive from Dover, Delaware, so maybe a little bit of hometown advantage for Mike Koch. William Tyndall in the 8. Tyndall 11th quick, first lap, 25.57. Tyndall way up the racetrack there. It's going to cost him some time here. Clips the apron on exit of 4, upsets the car, and he's going to smack the wall. That's going to be it for his qualifying attempt. Brian McCann has 2 minutes left in the session. Fastest in practice, will be a threat for the pole. Let's see if he can pull it off. '11th quick, lap 1 for McCann with a 50. McCann out of turn 4, way up the track, a little loose, but keeps his foot down. Does he do it? He does. Pole 23.094 for Brian McCann. Lightning fast lap. Really pushed it there on his second lap. Now Kyle Terzak, 14th quick. 24.085, his first attempt. Terzak running here in the Xfinity car. Very familiar with the late model stock. Trying his hand here with the B car. Crosses the stripe here. Does he improve? Big jump. 5th quick, 23.29 for Kyle Terzak. Now Doug Wysocki on the racetrack, the number 34. About 15 seconds left in this session. Looks like Wysoki's only going to get 1 lap in here. Started his attempt a little late. Crosses the stripe. 15th, 23.887. I don't think he's going to get back to the line here before the session expires. And no, it ends right there. So that's going to do it for Wysocki. Funkhauser, Kopp, and Wally, drivers that did not take a time in this session. They will round out at the back of the pack. Let's take a quick peek at the results from qualifying just a moment ago. Ryan McCann fastest. He'll be your pole sitter. Then Mike Koch, Chuck Sweeting, Neil Quick, Kyle Turzak, Brandon Mefford, Chris Mefford, Daniel Dow, Adam Pettit, Garrett Johnston, Casey Bent, Steve Durbin, Todd Cleek, Timmy Schofield, Doug Wysocki, William Tyndall, Josh Funkhauser, Matt Kopp, Chris Wally. Again, the bottom three drivers there not showing a time. They did not make a lap. With that, though, we're going to step aside, get a break out of the way here, and we shall return with our starting grid. Stick with us.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics, LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens, UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Welcome back to Dover Motor Speedway for race number 6 of Season 9, Segment 2 of the IROC Challenge Series. Field gridding up as we speak, so let's take a look at it. Our starting grid For tonight's race, on the pole position with a lap time of 23.094 seconds, it's the 3 of Brian McCann. Outside front row, missed it by a tenth and a half, was the 85 of Mike Koch. Starting in the second row, it's the 57 of Chuck Sweeting. Neil Quick will start to his outside. Row number 3, it's Kyle Terzak and Brandon Mefford. Row number 4, it'll be Chris Mefford and Daniel Dow. Row 5, Adam Pettit and Garrett Johnston. Starting in the 11th spot will be Casey Bentz. 12th goes to Steve Durbin. 13th starter is Todd Kleek. 14th goes to Tim Schofield. Doug Wysocki will start 15th. 16th, William Tyndall. Josh Funkhauser, 17th. 18th, Matt Kopp. And last but not least, 75 of Chris Wally will roll shotgun on the field from 19th position. Your starting grid here from Dover Motor Speedway will be green the next time by. Another quick look at the race details. 200 laps the race distance, 93 degrees here at the track today. Full load of fuel on board, 4 sets of tires over the wall, 1 fast repair, 3 possibilities at a green-white checkered finish if it comes down to it. Pace car makes the hard left down pit lane. Barney the flagman in the stand with the green in hand. Let's get this thing underway. Green called for. We're off and running from Dover. Mike Koch in the wall off turn 2. Just like that, lap 1 of the books. Brian McCann out in front, 4/10 the advantage over Chuck Sweeting, Kyle Terzak, Mike Koch, and Neil Quick. That's your top 5, all single file, back quite a ways. 200 laps again, the race distance here tonight. That's a ways to go, 200 miles to be exact. Driver's going to settle in here, get into a rhythm. 4 sets of tires should be plenty for these drivers to negotiate their way around this track and work that tire strategy. Might even have somebody try and save a set for that just-in-case moment at the end. Can still in command here, now half second ahead of Sweeting. Brandon Mefford in the 5th spot, ahead of the 2 of Neil Quick. Further behind, a little bit of a battle shaping up here. Adam Pettit, that is. Pettit tucked in behind Chris Mefford in the number 46 machine. Let's go on board with Pettit. Pettit about a tenth quicker than Mefford that last time by. Battle continues. This will be for the 7th spot. Mefford has it for the time being. Pettit really applying the pressure. Less than a car length off the back bumper of the Charity Motorsports number 46 as they work down the back straightaway into turn 3. Pettit drives it a little bit deeper into the corner than Chris Mefford, but Mefford able to get back to the gas a tick sooner in most cases. But Pettit gets alongside for a moment on exit of turn 4. Will he dive it down? No, still tucked in behind the 46, but now Mefford making a move. He takes the spot from Neil Quick. If Pettit's wise here, he may try and do the same and follow him through. In the meantime, though, he's lost some ground to the 46 of Chris Mefford. Quick and Continuing to free fall through the field here, back to the 12th spot now. I just don't imagine this is accidental. I'm starting to think that Neil might be just dropping back here. He has a pace that he's going to run. He's got a lap time he's going to shoot for each and every time by. Take care of those tires. Car will come on strong at the end of the run, making it a little easier to pick up those positions. See this quite often out of the driver, that number 2 machine. Further back through the field here, Chris Wally up a couple of positions in 17th. In behind him is Matt Kopp and William Tyndall. Further towards the front here. In fact, we'll check on the leader, Brian McCann. Still enjoying a sizable margin over second place, Chuck Sweeting. It's about 6.5 tenths back to the 57. Then Chuck Sweeting in second, about 6 tenths back to Kyle Terzak in third. Top 3 drivers pretty well separated. Same back to P4. Position here. Wysocki goes to the inside of the 45 of Todd Cleek. That's for the 11th spot. I think Steve Durbin is going to try and follow through here. The 45 in the fence off turn 2. Sorry, off turn 4. Todd Cleek making some contact with the outside safer barrier out of turn 4. We've seen so many drivers do that here. Not just tonight, but in general. And he does it again off at 2. See, I was just getting ahead of myself. Todd Cleek having some trouble keeping that car turning through the corner on exit. A little tight off the corner. Cleans it up there off 4 this time. Cleek running back in the 13th position presently. Change of position for the 8th spot. Garrett Johnston and Daniel Dow still side by side, actually. Johnston on the bottom in the 15. He gets way down to the bottom, gets clear. It's going to allow Casey Bentz to get alongside as well and take a spot possibly from Dow. No, tucks back in behind. Johnston gets clear and puts a car length and a half on the 28 machine of Dow. To the back bumper of Adam Pettit for the 7th spot. Still about a car length off the back bumper. On board now with Pettit, looking back at Garrett Johnston. This likely to be the battle for the 7th spot here. Johnston can close the gap, but it seems that Pettit back to the gas a little bit early comparative to the 15. See if Johnston drives it in deep, closes the gap on entry. So it's kind of what we're seeing with some different battles here. It's all a matter of how you want to drive this track, how do you want to get into the corner. Some drivers backing up that entry, lifting a little bit sooner, so it allows them to get back on throttle sooner. But Johnston, you see in the 15, he's driving it way deep into the corner, very late on the brakes, but he's also late on the throttle. You see Pettit able to drive away down the straightaway. Pettit, well, he's holding off Johnston. He's closed the gap to within half a car length off Chris Mefford, but Mefford loses connection for a brief moment, disappears completely. I thought it threw Pettit off there for a moment, and I thought he was going to get into the wall, but he managed to avoid it by about an inch. Continues to track down the 46. This could be a battle now for the 6th spot. Indeed it is. Gets to the inside down in turn 1. Pettit still there. Johnston as well. We got a 3-car battle for these positions. Pettit in that yellow number 60. We watch this battle still just outside the top 5. Meanwhile, Brian McCann extending his lead over Chuck Sweeting to almost a full 1.5 seconds. Don't need to watch him right now. This is the action we want to watch. Mefford hanging on at the 6th spot. Then it's Pettit, Johnston, and the 28 of Daniel Dow. "25 laps in the books. It gets them done in a hurry. You got a mile racetrack here, and their fast time is 23.5 seconds. Do the math, people. A mile at 60 miles an hour takes 60 seconds. They're running a mile in 23. And the yellow is out.
But I'll leave this one on you. If you want to stay out, we'll stay out.
This will be our stage break, our competition caution, if you will. No major issue to speak of on track, I don't believe. So Brian McCann, Sweeting, Turzak, Brandon Mefford, Koch, Chris Mefford, Pettit, Johnston, Dow, and Durbin, your top 10 at the break. Everybody's got a feel for what they've got underneath them. You might see pit stops here. It's kind of a tough call. I mean, you got 4 sets over the wall, so really 5 sets to work with. I suppose you might see some guys take some tires here. I don't know, but front runners might just top off the tank and go back out, save that set of tires. 25 laps again. Still, we are though at Dover. This very abrasive concrete surface still might indicate a tire change. We'll see. So everybody and their brother are going to come down and pit here. So McCann for sure is going to put on at least right sides. Going to be 4, I would imagine. And there it is. So 4 tires and fuel for Brian McCann. Drops the jack. He's going to beat him out first. At that line, Sweeting, then Turzak, then Brandon Mefford. That'll be the top 4 out of pit lane. However, Steve Durbin stayed out on the racetrack to pick up a lap lead. Curious if he'll come down and pit this time or not and just take the penalty to go to the back. So Durbin does pit now. The penalty for pitting, and yes, there is a penalty for pitting, believe it or not. If you don't pit with the leaders, when you're one of the leaders, lead lap cars that is, you receive a penalty if you pit the next time by. But it's kind of a moot point because he's going to be at the back anyway, so he got credit for leading that lap. He's going to come in, top off the fuel. Will he put tires on? Yeah, he's going to do the same. Durbin's got his minions over the wall there. You see him in uniform and everything. So 4 tires and fuel for Durbin. He'll restart at the tail of the field. Still not a bad call. Plenty of racing left. So lights are out. So we're going to be green next time by. Lap 30 will go on the board as we take the green flag. All right, pace car's in. Let's get after it.
Ready, green flag.
There it is, green flag back in the air. First restart of the day, McCann off and running. Terzak takes full advantage. Gets to the inside of Sweeting just for the second spot. Doesn't want to get stuck there. McCann was able to drive away from the top 2, 3, 4 cars without any issue in the first 25 laps of this race. Leads the lap back to the line. Terzak takes the second spot cleanly from Chuck Sweeting. Brandon Mefford there in 4th. Adam Pettit up to 5th yet again through the cycle of pit stop. Oh, trouble. The 6th in trouble. Off turn number 2. Is it the 6th or the 12? It's the 12th. Timmy Schofield in trouble. Man, I gotta get my eyes checked. Usually when your eyes go bad, you see double, not half. Hope somebody got that. All right, so Tim Schofield puts us under our first actual caution, for cause, I guess you could say. The competition caution, we don't really count that. Looks like there was another issue. That was coming to green, though. We won't count that. So Tim Schofield, let's take a look at it. We saw it a little bit live here. All by himself, yeah, back in the car, just steps out. The road course racers call that oversteer. Oval racers call it loose. Loose means you typically back into the wall. Tight means you drive into the wall. Schofield, a little loose. Now again, what happens there, this is just after the restart, so tire temperatures are still low, not really up to optimum operating temperature. With that temperature, air pressure increases. It makes that tire a little bit taller. Contact patch on the racetrack changes. And until that happens, the handling is a little dicey. As you can see, that's the end result there with Tim Schofield. Rear end of the car coming around. Smacks the wall. Looks like Tim's going to burn that first fast repair, his only fast repair. So without a safety net the rest of the way. So this will be fun to watch. Remember back season 8, Ryan McCann, Kyle Terzak trading blows all season long in the late model stocks. Terzak ultimately coming out on top there. Terzak very familiar with late model stock as he does drive those things in real life. But I don't think anybody in this field has driven an Xfinity car for real, at least not a fully prepared race version. Now, interesting tidbit here, and you see a lot of guys following the lead of Brian McCann here. Brian's dropping that race car all the way down to the apron of the racetrack, right against the inside pit wall. And if you're not super attuned to what's going on in the world of motorsports, why he might be doing that, well, the racetrack has a high line, the racetrack has a low line, and if you measure all the way around, well, the top line will be a little bit longer than the low line. Why does that matter? Well, it's less distance, and even under caution, McCann's thinking about fuel. Save the fuel as much as possible, drop down to the low side of the racetrack, make that lap as short as possible. You consume less fuel that way. I would imagine he's also clutching the car, turning it off under caution and coasting, and dumping the clutch with the ignition on and firing it back up. That also will help save some fuel. Race cars in, green flag back in the air. McCann hammers the throttle on the restart, cross start finish. And once again, the battle for second between Terzak and Sweeting, but Terzak has the preferred lane at the bottom of the racetrack. Sweeting up top, he may lose 2 out of this as Mefford closes, gets alongside as well. Terzak hanging on to the second spot for now, but Sweeting right there, a car length off the back bumper of that 51 Camaro. Back down into turn number 3, Sweeting right there. On board with Terzak, looking back. Terzak out of Stafford, Virginia. Wow, Sweeting got a big run out of turn 4 there. Closed the gap considerably on Kyle Terzak, but didn't have enough to get alongside before 1. McCann not wasting time, man. Jumps way out to the lead. 1.15 seconds the advantage for the 3. Adam Pettit now with pressure from Brandon Mefford. Mefford's lost a spot or 2 as Pettit was running 5th there at the restart. Got around the 83, but now Brandon not willing to sit there and run in P5. Still a car length behind the 60 of Pettit. Closes the gap out of turn 2. I think Mefford believes he is a tick faster. In fact, looking at the lap times, he is by about 0.5 the last time by. Switches lanes, goes to the top. A brazen move for the 83. We'll see if we can make it pay. Look into the outside, but now it opens the door for Dow. And McCann just still running away. Now 2 seconds the advantage over Terzak. Crossover from Mefford takes the spot back. So move Mefford up to P4, Pettit back to 5th. Following up on the stream chat, it's been a little quiet here tonight. Started things off, Shane Irby jumped in, cheering on Casey Bentz, then Eddie Rose. Might still be here, not sure. He says, hey, giving a shout out to Track Limits Network. Great broadcasting. Eddie, thanks for checking in, man. I do appreciate that as always. Eddie's a longtime fan of formerly HBR TV, now Track Limits Network. He's been with us since the very beginning, checking in, saying hey, watching the broadcasts. Certainly appreciate the support over these few years. Oh, Dow catches the wall off too. Garrett Johnson has to make a big move to avoid. Gets to the inside now, doesn't hit anything. Johnston did a great job to not get into the back of the 28 machine. Picks up the spot as well. Like Koch is going to go around side by side with Dow into turn 1. Dow might have some pretty significant damage at right front, unless it's just the paint scheme. It looked like the right front fender was missing, but no, it's still there. But contact again with Koch, and he goes around. Into turn 3, Koch facing the wrong way. Contact with Dan Dow. Door banging down the back straightaway, and that's the end result. Somebody had to give, and it looks like the 85 ends up with a short straw. Got Shane Irby over on the IROC chat, jumping around. I like that. So he's watching on the 70-inch. Shane, if that 70-inch has a 4K monitor on it and you've got the bandwidth to play it, switch it to 4K, man. We're broadcasting 4K here tonight, so check it out. It's always going to look better in 4K. Meanwhile, back to the action. We had some guys fake to pit lane. Chuck Sweeting, I don't know if he got bit on the fake or if he was planning to come down anyway, but either way, he's there. And not a whole lot of company in behind him. Some back markers or mid-packers. Doug Wysocki, Chris Mefford, Casey Bent, Steve Durbin, Chris Wally, Neil Quick, Timmy Schofield, Mike Koch, of course, involved in that crash, William Tyndall. So pretty much everybody from mid-pack on down, with the exception of Chuck Sweeting, who pit from the top 3. Sweeting's going to come down and pit here. Will he take tires, or is this just a fuel strat? Just topping off. Interesting strategy for the 57. I don't know if I would have done that, but it's pretty evident that McCann is the class of the field right now. He's definitely the fast guy out there. And we say it all the time, if you follow the leader, that's what you're going to do. You're going to follow the leader. So doing something different. Chuck Sweeting going to try and figure this one out. See if he can work some strategy to be in contention here at the end. He's got some pace. He's pretty quick. Certainly one of the top 2, top 3 drivers out there tonight. Mike Koch in the IROC chat says, ow. Yeah, it's a good thing it's a sim. Granted, some of these wheelbases got so much torque on them, you can still snap a thumb or two if you're not careful. Hope everybody's all right there, Mike. Let us know if you're all done or if you're going to get back out there. Blame the Chardonnay. All right, 48 laps in the books. Going to be lap 49 we go back racing. Ryan McCann, Brandon Mefford, 2 IROC veterans here on the front row as we go back to green here in about a half a lap. Car is in. McCann holding the field slow through
flag.
turn 4. Green flag in the air. There we go. Hammer down. We're racing again. Ryan McCann just has this place figured out. 1 lap after the restart. He's a half second ahead of everybody else, but Adam Pettit has worked himself up into P2 here. Brandon Mefford now 3rd. Terzak 4th. Dow 5th. Sweeting, not a bad call on that pit strategy. All the way up into the 6th spot here with a little bit more fuel. If we get a situation where this thing runs green for a while, this really could pay off for him. Just past quarter distance. Oh, Pettit real loose off turn 2, catches the car, breaks the momentum a bit. Brandon Mefford a car length and a half off the back bumper now. Let's go on board with Mefford. Mefford gets the wall off of 4. We've seen so many drivers do that here tonight. It's tough because it breaks the momentum, but it also sets you up poorly for turn 1, so you really don't get an opportunity to fix it here until you get out of turn 2 about a half a lap later. You hear Mefford just working the throttle through the middle of the corner. Quarter throttle, half, 3/4, wide ass open. Meanwhile, out front, McCann, almost a full second advantage over Adam Pettit again. Just checking out. Someone's got to start dropping banana peels out here to slow down the 3. There's just no way. He's got the pace. Best lap out of Brian, 23:53. Terzak, imagine that. Just about the same, about 100 slower to 23:54. Those are the fast laps of the day. Tough break for Mike Koch, though. He ran a 23:59. He's having a strong day until he got involved in that incident. Shown in the 18th position, though he is still on the lead lap, so not out of this yet. Shane Irby caught it. Old habits die hard, Shane. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with Adam Pettit thus far. He's had some adversity here, not terrible amount of it, but hasn't quit. Has the pace, clearly. He's up in that second spot again. He went back, I think, about 6 or 7. He's worked his way back through a combination of just raw pace and a little bit of pit strategy, or at least fast pit stops. Brandon Mefford running in the 3rd spot. Terzak in behind. So top 7 drivers all single file here, kind of minding their own right now. Settled into a groove. Back in 8th is Josh Funkhauser and then Neil Quick. Chris Wally rounding out the top 10. Quick applying pressure to the 81. .63 laps in the books. Again, seems that just about everybody content with just riding for now. Meanwhile, Chris Mefford, though, all the way back in 16th. Not like him to see that 46 machine so far back in the pack. 16th out of 19 entries. Looking at the pit stop, though, however, it looks like that might be the reasoning behind it. Mefford may have only taken fuel on that last caution, trying to save his set for later on in the run. So don't count out Chris just yet. Wysocki making a move to the inside of Casey Bentz, takes that spot away. So move Doug up into P17. That's the hard part of doing these things, folks, is trying to catch all the action front to back. Sometimes it's in the top 10, sometimes it's in the bottom 10. Seems right now that the back markers are the ones that are doing the racing, so this is where we're going to watch for the time being. Again, everybody's still on the lead lap. That's the most impressive part. Glad to see Mike Koch out there still. Garrett Johnston applying pressure now to Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting in the 7th spot. Chuck's lost a spot since the restart. Gotta tell you though, Neil Quick knifing through this field in that number 2 Blue Deuce. Talked about it early in the broadcast, how he was falling back like he was tied to a tree. It was all part of the plan. Neil Quick working his way back towards the front here in the 5th spot. Remember, he started 4th, so he had pace in qualifying. He can get around this place. Battle continues. Chuck Sweeting now under fire. Terzak and Sweeting almost contact into turn 3. Terzak has to save the car a bit on entry. Keeps his foot down. Terzak gets clear. Sweeting slides up the track here just a bit. Johnston foaming at the mouth here, trying to get that spot as well. Sweeting up the track. Johnston's going to easily take this spot. Looked to get greedy there for a minute. Tried to drive to the inside of Terzak. Terzak slams the door. Terzak with some rear end damage. In fact, we'll jump on board here with Johnston and take a look at it from his perspective. Back bumper on Terzak's machine all tore up. Johnston gets to the inside. Terzak's going to have a bit of a run out of the corner, but it's not going to be enough. He has to tuck back in behind. So now it's Funkhauser in behind the 51. We'll jump on board with the 81 machine. Trying to get a better look at Terzak's damage. Look at that rear bumper. Pushed in. Somebody got into the back of the 51 there. It might have been when we caught him sliding up the racetrack. But just like that, the 8, William Tyndall, just flashes by Funkhauser. Takes away the 8th position. "76 laps complete here from Dover Motor Speedway as we watch the race continue here from the blimp, and Terzak's in trouble. Trying to save the car. He's real loose into turn 3. He's going to slide up the racetrack. Caution on the Speedway. Terzak in trouble in turn 3. This all started, it appeared, out of turn 2. I don't know if there was contact or a tank slap, and he just got to trying to chase the race car. Clearly was having some issues handling-wise as he was shedding positions at the time. Well, let's take a look. Already way into it here. Let's back it up a little further. Tough to see through the crowd. I think he just got loose out of 2. I don't think the 8 got into him. It's hard to tell from here. Let's get the tower. Yeah, there we go. Tyndall wasn't really even that close. Rear in the 51 just steps out a bit. Starts to chase it. Washes up the racetrack into the loose stuff. Not really a lot of rubber laid down in that part of the track just yet. He's drifting out of 2 here. Now he's just saving it. Smacks the wall. It's going to push him down the track. Tyndall checks up as much as he can, really. He doesn't want to do too much with Funkhauser behind him. There might have been some contact there with the 8 and the 51. But then back and forth, back and forth. You've got liquid, of course, gasoline in the back of that race car that sloshes left to right. That's what we call a tank slap. And he ultimately spins the car out, backing it into the fence in turn 3. Tyndall and Funkhauser make some contact in the middle of all this. So, pit stop's underway. Tyndall stays out on the racetrack. Again, same situation we saw earlier with another driver. He's going to try and lead some laps. Terzak still sits on pit lane. These drivers, as we mentioned in the open, they all do have a fast repair. It's the, I guess you'd call it a quick fix. The equivalent of a reset in the video game world. But you don't have to use it. You can pick and choose when you burn that. Terzak appears to be using... No, he has stepped out of the race car. So Terzak may be done. Let's see if he jumps back in. I may have misspoken. I might have called it a tent slap. I don't know if that's actually what I said, but I meant tank slap. Because the fuel in the tank slaps the opposite side of the tank, and it kind of carries all of that weight to one side of the race car or the other. Makes it a bit of a challenge. You run into that actually, it's, I don't know, you could say it's something in the real world that you could run into, but unless you're a firefighter driving a fire truck, you're not necessarily going to know what I'm talking about, but fire trucks carry between 250 to 750 gallons of water on them. Tankers, of course, a lot more. And you have to factor that in when you drive them. Because that water moves around, and if it's half full, it moves around a lot. Kind of the same thing happens with these race cars. It sloshes around, even though it's a bladder-style system. It still does change the weight distribution in the race car, and you do kind of need to catch up with that. So coming to 81 laps complete here. In fact, lap 81 will be the restart here. Green flag in the air. Tyndall stayed out of the racetrack. We'll see how quickly Brian McCann chews him up. Tyndall's going to lead the lap, though. He'll take the points for sure. But there it is. They're going to split them top to bottom. Mefford and Pettit go around like he's tied to a tree. McCann didn't waste any time. I think he had the spot before turn 1. Meanwhile, Mefford and Pettit side by side for the second spot into turn 1. Just about everybody singled out here. Chuck Sweeting back in the 11th position. He was battling for a moment with Steve Durbin. Now looking at the back bumper of Casey Benson, the number 27 machine. That would be the 10th spot. Sweeting trying to cut his way back through the field. The fuel strategy tried to play early on, just didn't pay off with that caution coming out when it did, but that's okay. Just kind of resets him. Chuck had some damage to repair as well, apparently. Chris Mefford starting to work his way back towards the front. We talked about him a while ago. He was second to last on the field. Now he's inside the top 10. Casey Bentz, though, working to the inside. Going to take the spot from the 46. Chuck Sweeting's going to try and follow him through. We'll see if Chris can hold him off. Mefford up the racetrack. Not feeling the race car right now. Doesn't seem for the 46. Tell you, though, you throw him at Martinsville or North Wilkesboro or something to that effect, Chris Mefford's going to be on it like Blue Bonnet. Brian McCann still with the race lead. The dominant car to speak of tonight. So far led the most laps to this point. McCann with a 0.7 of a second advantage over Pettit. And it's Brandon Mefford, Daniel Dow, Josh Funkhauser in the top 5. You remember William Tyndall, the driver of the number 8 machine? He restarted this from the top spot, from first. Okay, it wasn't that long ago, but now he is running 18th. Last car on the lead lap. In fact, last car in the race is Kyle Turzak is out of this race. Called it a day. 51. Not going to see the checkered flag here tonight. Chris Mefford settling down in the 10th spot for the time being, in behind Neil Quick. Remember, the 2 was awful fast early on as well, so it's tough to make that call here. There just could be strategy at play here with the 2 and the 46. Been watching these guys race for quite some time, whether it's the IROC series or SCAR or Noble or you name it. They've been doing this for quite a while. As we mentioned, Chris Mefford's got some real-world experience behind the wheel of a race car. I don't know about Neil Quick. He's shown some talent here in iRacing for sure. This battle continues. Mefford takes the spot from Quick, moves him up to 9th. Chris Wally, who started shotgun on the field here up to the 11th spot, just ahead of Steve Durbin. Durbin drops it down low, trying to take that position away from the 75. Nowhere really to go with it, but Wally's going to have to tuck in, but the 45 of Cleek right there almost came together. Meanwhile, McCann out to a 2 seconds plus advantage as we close in on halfway. Quick slips up the racetrack a bit. I still don't know if he's just playing possum out there. Opens the door for a couple of the drivers. Durbin gets clear. Wally gets clear. Now Cleek to the bottom. He gets alongside and by. Neil Quick back to 13th, but Cleek gets the wall off turn 4. Drives it, trying to save it to turn number 1. Hangs on to it for now. Chris Mefford hanging out of the 10th spot. Chris Wally working his way through still. Half a car length off the back bumper of the 46. Once again, we're kind of in that lull period of this race, just about halfway. One more lap and we'll be past it. Watching this battle here between Todd Cleek and Neil Quick. This will be for the 12th position. And as we cross halfway here from Dover Motor Speedway, McCann still out in front, 2.3 plus seconds ahead of the 60 of Adam Pettit. We're going to jump out here, get a track limit side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
I met Marco Scarza when
Back at Dover Motor Speedway, Brian McCann continues to lead after 110 miles complete. 2.6 seconds the advantage back to second place, Adam Pettit. McCann just out for a Sunday drive right now as he works his number 3 machine through turns 3 and 4. Adam Pettit still running in that second spot. He's got some clear daylight behind him as well. Back to Brandon Mefford in the third spot. Then it's Garrett Johnston and Daniel Dow. Those two drivers relatively close together here. A car length and a half between the two of them. We'll keep a close eye on this battle for now. Dow starting to lose some ground here. The deficit now 3-4 car lengths from Johnston back to the 28. Johnston might be pushing forward here as Funkhauser has a moment out of turn number 2. Saves the car though. Chuck Sweeting though right there applying pressure. Sweeting in 7, trying to take that 6th spot away from the 81. Funkhauser having a moment again. He's really trying hard to stay out in front. Doesn't want to give up that spot to Chuck Sweeting. Funkhauser, though, managing to stay ahead of Sweeting for the time being. In fact, puts a couple of car lengths on the 57. And there's more of what we talked about earlier as far as how the drivers are entering the corners. Seems that Funkhauser is backing up his entry. Sweeting the opposite, driving it in deep into the corner and then getting on the throttle a little bit later. Funkhauser able to drive out from the turns a little bit faster than the 57. Seems that added wheel spin, though, costing the 81 on exit as far as how that car is handling. Ooh, Funkhauser misses the bottom, slides up the track a bit, puts a half car length between himself and Sweeting now. Back to the stripe, though. Funkhauser maintains the 6th position. On board with Josh Funkhauser, looking back at Chuck Sweeting. 80 laps to go here from Dover. I think Sweeting's just a tick faster than Funkhauser, but he's not fast enough to get alongside and complete the pass. We make that comment so often. It's one thing to catch a driver, it's another to make the pass and then clear. Checking out our top three yet again. Brandon Mefford still running in the third spot. Garrett Johnston in fourth, starting to close the gap just slightly. Real loose out of turn 4 is Mefford. Might have gotten a very small piece of the outside wall on exit. Way up the racetrack in 1 and 2. Well, right on board here with Johnston as well. See what he sees. This is the driver's eye camera. Again, still about a half second between Johnston and Mefford as they get through turns 3 and 4 here. No sooner than we go to this camera angle, Johnston starting to lose ground to Brandon Mefford. Almost 3/4 of a second. In fact, a little bit above 3/4 second behind Mefford for the time being. Might have burned up his stuff here. Mike Koch down low on the racetrack. Koch now 1 lap down. Koch finally up on the banking. No, drops back down to the apron again. Koch coming to pit lane here. He hits the inside wall, coming to the pits. Right front damage, pretty significant on the 85. Johnston also in pit lane. Not sure the situation there with the 85 of Mike Koch. He hits pit lane and then hits the wall. Right front severely damaged, not turning at all. Certainly towed in quite a bit, not to mention likely broken. I don't think he's got a fast repair remaining. He may have to fix this the old-fashioned way. Certainly down a lap after the first pit stop. Oh, it starts to spin now, but nevertheless, damage done. Has to back it up in the pit box. No, still had the fast repair. Look at that. He's going to put right side tires on, top it off with Sunoco Racing fuel. Crew around to the left. 4 tire change for Mike Koch. He's going to get back out there. We do have some green flag stops underway. First green flag stops of the day. Casey Bentz in his pit stall. Steve Durbin in behind. Four tire change for Casey Bentz. Steve Durbin. Same pit work. Chris Wally in the box. So 4 tires and fuel for Chris Wally as well. Meanwhile, Brian McCann stays out on the racetrack. Brian McCann with a 2.5 second advantage over Adam Pettit. When does the 3 come to pit lane? Likely the final stop of the day for the 3. Johnson goes to the inside again. That's the difference in fresh tires, folks. Drives around McCann like he's stopped. Durbin actually down 2 laps. He's going to get one of those back. Might have been 3 laps getting one back. That was the case. Casey Bentz will do the same. So McCann still out in front and still extending his lead over Adam Pettit. Brandon Mefford 3rd, Daniel Dow 4th, Sweeting 5th. Again, I still believe that there are pit stops to be had before this one is over for at least fuel. I can't imagine anybody not taking at least some semblance of tires. Chris Mefford way up the racetrack as Tyndall goes through. And Brian McCann to pit lane. Brian McCann from the race lead. Heads down pit road here for the last time of the afternoon, I would bet, with 61 laps remaining. Right side tires going on the 3. Sunoco race fuel going in. 4 tire change for Brian McCann. Heel quick in his pit stall. He burns a faster pair as well. Brian McCann down and away. Back in action. In behind Matt Kopp. 60 to go. So new leader, Brandon Mefford out in front. Mefford's going to need to make a pit stop here pretty soon as well, but as it stands, if the caution comes out now, it's going to jumble this thing way up. Top 3 drivers, the only drivers on the lead lap, and it's the brothers Mefford and Chuck Sweeting. Johnston in 4th, 1 lap down. Brian McCann in 5th, 1 lap down. So we're going to keep a close eye on this one until it's all said and done with this final pit cycle. Brandon Mefford still in command of this race, and he gets the wall. Out of turn 4, Brandon Mefford pancakes the right side of his number 83 race car here. Hopefully he's going to come to pit lane here soon. But at the same token, with only 3 cars on the lead lap, I imagine he may just run this to the point of a dry fuel tank. Fingers crossed for that caution to come out and trap a very fast Brian McCann a lap down. Daniel Dow to the bottom and by Brandon Mefford. Chuck Sweeting's going to hit pit lane. This is going to put us with 2 drivers on the lead lap. So it's a lap that belongs to the Mefford brothers themselves. Johnston in 3rd, a lap down. McCann up to 4th, a lap down. Pettit to 5th, a lap down. This could get tricky if the caution comes out. This is going to put everybody into a mess. Effort again, almost getting the wall out of turn number 2. Tyndall goes to the inside. Again, he's made his pit stop. And Brandon's smart enough to know that there's no really use to fight these guys on fresher tires. He's just trying to run the laps here, race the racetrack, burn that fuel down to nothing. Again, fingers crossed that the caution comes out, because that really would be the ultimate for him. He can come down and pit, take tires and fuel under caution, as Tyndall ends up in the wall. Still no caution. Coming to 50 laps to go. Tyndall still in the fence out of turn 4. Tyndall drops it down to the inside. Pretty slow, but still no caution. 50 laps remain here for Mefford and Mefford. Tyndall really can't get this car to turn. He's way up the racetrack. Still no caution. Very surprised the yellow has not come out here for the 8 of William Tyndall. Very slow on the racetrack. He was in the racing groove with traffic coming, but he's going to make it to pit lane here. He's in turn 3, very slow now. I don't think we'll get a caution at this point. But now with the race leader, and Brandon Mefford in trouble. Contact with Pettit. I think Brandon was trying to get the pit lane as Chris Mefford takes over the top spot. Brandon comes to pit lane. That's going to put Brian McCann and Garrett Johnston, also Pettit, back on the lead lap. So this will cycle them back through. Now Chris Mefford still out in front. So Brandon Mefford, 4 tires and fuel. He's going to get back out there. Meanwhile, Chris Mefford out in front here. Race lead. Now Brian McCann on fresher tires. You see how quickly he's made up ground. He's 16 seconds back. He was a lap down a moment ago. Now let's do the math. Chris Mefford's last lap, 25 seconds. So he's made up 10 seconds since that pass was completed when he got himself back on the lead lap. McCann technically in second now. Johnston third, Pettit fourth. That is your lead lap cars as they run. Looking at the pit stops here, that makes sense. Brian McCann's last pit stop, lap 139, 11 laps later than Garrett Johnston. So no contest really there for McCann to get clear of the 15. Adam Pettit made his pit stop same time as Brian McCann, so likely Pettit will dispose of Johnston when he gets there as well. Chris Mefford still needing to make a pit stop here, and he'll have an opportunity at some point, but if the caution comes out, that's going to be like winning the lottery for the 46. Sweeting gets clear of McCann. Now Sweeting back in the 8th position, a lap down. He's got some work to do to catch up with the race leader, but again, Chris Mefford still will need to make a pit stop. Meanwhile, Chris Mefford finally coming to pit lane. Waited as long as he could here with 41 laps to go. So 4 tires and fuel for the 46. He'll drop the jack and get back out there. He's going to be the fastest car on the racetrack when he rejoins here. Laps tick by so fast, pit road speed being what it is, likely going to be laps down or at least one. He gets back out there. McCann across the stripe. So Chris Mefford will rejoin in the 12th position, 1 lap down. That leaves us with 7 cars on the lead lap. And Chris Wally's the last car in the lead lap, has to save it off of turn number 2. Brian McCann coming in a hurry here. He'll get to the inside of the 75. Wally not going to put up too much of a fight. Out of turn number 4, loses that lap. Puts us with 6 cars now on the lead lap. Chuck Sweeting in 6th, last car on the lead lap. So McCann bites the bullet, dodges the bullet, that is. Finishes his pit cycle, gets back to the race lead without the caution coming out and trapping him a lap down. But it leaves us with 6 cars now in contention. That's McCann, Pettit, Johnston, Durbin, Dow, and Sweeting. And frankly, Sweeting is about 4 or 5 seconds away lap time wise of being down a lap as well. Brandon Mefford gets into the back of Brian McCann. Brandon Mefford a lap down, but with fresh tires gets into the back of the 3, gets him crossed up. Brian saves the car, but he sustains some rear damage to that 3. Try to get a closer view. There it is, the back of that race car pushed in. So now, McCann's going to have to finish this one out with some damage to the back of that machine. Only a caution will help him. I'm sure McCann hasn't used a fast repair yet. If he gets another opportunity to hit pit lane, I'm sure he'll use it. Gets to the inside of Neil Quick. Maintains the top spot, 1.68 seconds ahead of Adam Pettit. 33 laps remain here from Dover. Have to keep a close eye on this deficit now back to the 60. If that continues to drop, because it's now a second and a half. All right, so McCann crosses the stripe here. In fact, let's pull up lap times, see if I can get a better comparison here. Pettit was faster by about a half second. So McCann ran a 73. Pettit was almost half a second faster the last lap. Crosses the stripe this time. McCann runs an 8:10. And Pettit a quarter second quicker. So he's dropped. The deficit's still about 1.5 with 31 to go. See, that's the thing with Brian McCann is he's that good. Even with damage, he can make the adjustment. It changes the handling on the race car significantly. Usually, he can find a way to drive it, still have some lap time, but last handful of laps, oh, there it is again. Pettit a half second quicker. Deficit now 1.48 at the most. Now down to 1.4, 1.3, 1.35. That did not help Brian McCann. We'll have to see how this plays out. So McCann's still out in front here. 1.35 back is Adam Pettit. You can see him there in the yellow and black machine. Just behind Chris Mefford. But Chris Mefford is running in the 9th position. He is not on the lead lap, so that would not be a position for Pettit. Still needs to get clear of him if he's faster, but right now it's not really a concern of his. He's still closing the gap between the race leader here with 27 laps to go. So Mefford now is going to get a lap back. He gets to the inside of Brian McCann after Neil Quick does the same. And Mefford's going to get clear of Quick. Now it's under a second. Pettit really closing the gap. Back at lap times. 3/4 of a second faster for Pettit. 24.932 for McCann. Might be 8 to 10 car lengths between the 3 and the 60 with 25 laps remaining. Pettit lost some ground that time. Only 6 thousandths. Doesn't matter by how much you win, as long as you win. Back to the line, McCann runs. 8:69, Pettit again over half a second faster. Lots of laps to go, 23 laps, 23 miles. I've raced against Brian McCann. He is no slouch by any means, especially on these ovals. But honestly, even on the road course, even when you're faster, he is hard to get by. Pettit still faster that time by 8.5 tenths back, 22 to go. It's evident the damage affecting that number 3 machine. We saw the same with Kyle Turzak early on in the race. He had some significant rear end damage, much worse than what we're seeing on the 3 right now. He ended up spinning down into turn 3, ultimately ended his race. Let's try to get a closer look here to Brian McCann. You see it. Aerodynamically, that's going to cause a problem. And even at a smaller track like Dover, I know it's a mile, but it's enough. Makes a difference. They're well over 100 miles an hour in the corners. North of 150 on the straightaway. Casey Bentz gets around on the outside. 19 laps remain. Now 6 tenths the advantage. Sun's starting to peek out here a bit here at Dover. Track temperature 86 degrees Fahrenheit, still relatively cool considering. Air temperature 67 degrees. $17 laps to go, and Pettit got him in his sights. Less than half a second. We're right on board with Pettit. Now here's the situation here with 16 laps to go as Pettit closes the gap on Brian McCann. Even though he's faster, he's going to start running into some dirty air. All right, so dirty air, to explain that, it's basically air disruption from the car in front. You don't get as much of that air downforce on the nose of the race car, so it has a tendency to slide up the racetrack. Basically, you turn the wheel and it doesn't want to cooperate. Turn it left and it just keeps going straight. So that dirty air causes a tight condition or an understeer condition. As he closes the gap here on Brian McCann, it's less than 0.4 of a second. That's going to get worse. But with all that said, I think Brian McCann might be dealing with an oversteer or a loose condition right now, as again, Pettit's still faster as it crosses the stripe. 0.3 of a second with 14 to go. I think Pettit can get there. In fact, he's pretty much there now with 0.2 of a second. He may have an opportunity to take this race lead and maybe to win away. And there he is, a couple of car lengths off the back bumper of the 3. Coming to 13 laps to go, crosses the stripe, and there you have it. He's got plenty of time to get this done. Taking a peek to the inside in 1 and 2. Doesn't have enough to get there alongside Brian McCann. Tucks in behind, half a car length off the back bumper. Straightens it out, a little loose on exit. Drives to the bottom of the racetrack in 3. Now as these drivers drive side by side, that's going to help Johnston catch them just a bit. They'll run a little bit slower by comparison. Back into 1 and 2. Pettit to the inside. McCann trying to hold him off, but the damage crippling that number 3 just enough. Real loose for both drivers out of turn number 2. McCann gets the fence and Pettit takes the race lead. With 12 laps to go, Adam Pettit takes over the top spot from a dominant Brian McCann. McCann nursing that crippled number 3 to the finish of this race. With 11 laps to go, the only thing that can save him now would be a caution. Only 9 cars on the lead lap. He really needs that yellow to come right now. Pettit way up the racetrack here. I don't know if that was by design, and it's way up the track. Pettit, that was a mistake by the 60. McCann retakes the top spot. Pettit either made a mistake or felt bad about the contact. I gotta say, if it was because of the contact, stand-up move by the driver of that number 60 machine. Brian McCann driving a wounded race car in the process, but Pettit's gonna have to do this all over again. Coming to 9 laps to go. Pettit's right there. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I like the sportsmanship of it, but at the same token, McCann had a problem. Pettit had a problem. They both had their issues in that corner. It was off turn 2, just a handful of laps ago. Get McCann with a wounded race car. 7 laps to go. Another loose condition for McCann out of turn number 2. It allows Pettit to close in, drives it to the bottom of the racetrack. McCann gives him the space. Just a nose there to the left rear quarter of the 3. Out of turn number 4. Coming to the stripe, 6 laps to go. Almost too close to call. Pettit might have led that lap, but McCann hanging to the outside of Adam Pettit. Out of turn number 2. Pettit retakes the top spot, and he does it clean. Pettit now slips up the racetrack, allows McCann to close back in. 5 laps to go. Pettit now puts 3.5 tenths on Brian McCann and again slips up the racetrack. McCann picks up another 10th, but out of turn 4. Pettit drives away yet again. 4 laps remain. Brian McCann driving the wheels off that race car, trying to just keep pace with Adam Pettit. We know he's driving a wounded race car, a damaged race car. The back end of that thing tore up. Downforce numbers completely changed for the driver of the number 3. Closes the gap mid-corner, which is not where I would expect to see it, but he does just that. Drives it deep into the turn. 2 laps to go. Pettit still with the lead. White flag in the air, lap traffic coming into play, almost gets into Cleek. Adam Pettit looking for his second win on the season. Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Coming to start, finish, checkered flag waves. Adam Pettit takes the win. Brian McCann has to settle for second. Garrett Johnston across the stripe. He'll finish third. Adam Pettit not giving up here. Had his share of struggles here tonight. Lady Luck shines down on the 60 as Brian McCann has his struggles. Pettit driving from the 9th spot to take the race win here tonight at Dover. So Pettit wins. We're going to step aside here, get a break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 after this.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Dover Motor Speedway, Adam Pettit with the race win here tonight. From a 9th starting position to the race win. So get a word with our race winner. Well, Adam Pettit in the broadcast booth. Adam and Steve with Track Limits Network. You got a copy?
I got you, Steve.
Adam, congratulations, man. An awesome run to the finish here. You reeled in Brian McCann there late after a little bit of contact with McCann and Brandon Mefford. Caused some damage to the 3. He was holding you off pretty well there at the end, but you managed to get by. Let's walk through the incident there. There was an issue with you and McCann. You made some contact. I think both drivers having an issue out of turn number 2, if I remember correctly. Did you give the position back intentionally, or did you have an issue of your own?
No, so yeah, I gave it back intentionally. That was not the way that I wanted to get the lead. I got way too much respect for Brian to do that to him and take the lead from him that way, so I wanted to give it back to him and see if I could get around him cleanly, which obviously I was able to, so I just kind of wanted to show him, sorry for that, and, show him that I can still do it.
It's certainly something that guys like Brian McCann will ultimately appreciate seeing you do. It's your second win on this season. I mean, Dover Motor Speedway, certainly a track that Brian McCann very good at. Obviously, he led the most laps here tonight, but a little bit of incidental contact with Brandon Mefford, and you're the beneficiary of that. Drive this thing to the win. We watched you a lot here tonight. You were fast. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Not the greatest of qualifying runs starting in 9th, but what was the strategy coming into tonight?
Honestly, it was just get some seat time. I got me a new wheelbase and some new pedals, so that kind of is what threw me there for qualifying. And then it was just just getting comfortable with everything. And Dover's one of my favorite tracks, so that's why I went ahead and pulled the trigger on getting some new stuff. I figured I'd be able to pick it up pretty quick there. But I didn't know what happened to Brian. I saw him at one point come off the inside wall. There on the front stretch, and then when I got a little bit closer to him, I was like, something's got to be wrong. And then obviously he had a bunch of damage, and it's funny that he ended up getting into Brandon, because I did too. I think when Brandon went to pit or something, I don't remember, but I clipped him on the on the right rear, and it gave me some damage here on the left front, and I was worried that it was going to slow me down, but I looked down and I'd ran one of my fastest laps of the stint there, so everything ended up being okay, I guess.
Certainly worked out for you in the end. You take the checkered flag and the win, second one of the season. We look forward to Talladega Super Speedway next week, where it's not so much talent that we think about. It's a little bit of luck and certainly some dancing partners to work with. You got some guys lined up to draft with you next week at Talladega Super Speedway?
Yeah, hopefully, since joining IROC here, I've showed people that I'm a clean and respectful driver. So hopefully, when we get out there on the restrictor plates, people remember the old 60 car and want to work with us. But I do have a teammate in Danny Dow who loves restrictor plate racing. So hopefully, you see us high, wide, and handsome going to the front.
Danny Dow with a 6th place finish here this afternoon, so not too shabby for him as well. Looking to see you guys team up next week at Talladega Super Speedway. Adam, congratulations yet again on the race win. Who do you want to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to SM Racing Products. They provided me with a great button box, so I was able to stay on top of my pit stops and changes and all that kind of stuff tonight. So shout out to them, and then also Anything EC. They're not on the card tonight, but they provide awesome automotive detailing products. So head over to anythingec.com and use code PETIT15 to get 15% off your entire order. And then you for a killer broadcast, and Chris for this wonderful league and the competitors. This is a really fun league, clean league, and absolutely loving it right now.
All right, Adam. Well, job well done yet again here. Thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
Adam Pettit, your race winner here at Dover. Next, we're going to talk to probably a disappointed Brian McCann, though. Second place pays pretty decent points, but I know he wanted this win here tonight. Brian, it's Steve with Track Limits Network. You got us?
I do.
Brian, congrats, man. A second place finish. I know that's not what you wanted. You were dominant here tonight. You run so well here at Dover. Led the most laps, certainly, but let's go back a little bit. Talk about the contact with you and Brandon Mefford. I know Brandon had fresh tires on board at the time, significantly faster at that moment in time. He was a lap down, but you guys ultimately made contact. Walk us through that, and what did it really do to the handling of that race car for the latter stages of this race?
Yeah, we had a big tire difference when I was trying to get around him, and there was a hole, so I went for the hole, and I started seeing him come back down. I was like, no, don't come down. So I went back and watched the replay. I did get the break, but netcode got the better of both of us there, and I hate I spun him out, but yeah, he come back out of the pits and wanted to return the favor, I guess, and that did change the handle of my car. The spotter actually came over and said, you got damaged, so something was really messed up back there, but it was still competitive, and that's a great race in there with Adam at the end.
Certainly was fun to watch. We know Adam Pettit was back a couple of seconds. We watched him run you down. Then you guys made some contact there. I think it was off of turn number 2. We talked to Adam. He says he willingly gave the spot back after that, didn't want to make the pass like that, let you go back around, and it took him a couple more laps to make that pass. How difficult was it to try and hold him off there at the end?
Very. My right rear was just going out super quick. I couldn't get on the throttle on the exit. It was just way too loose. And I mean, that's mighty nice of him when he let me around, but I already knew that his car was just faster, so it was just a matter of time, and he sure enough come back around.
Is what it is. We roll on to the Super Speedway at Talladega next week. I know a lot of that place is luck and a little bit of dancing partner, but how do you feel about your chances next week? I know you usually qualify halfway decent there.
It's just, Dodge just wrecks. Really don't even really race your car. You just racing everybody else like a chess game. So it changes it up a little bit, and always find fun in those races. So hopefully it goes good.
All right, Brian. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
My family, Wally, and everybody else who helps out with the league. You for doing the broadcast. Drivers for coming out here, making a great race, and everybody watching. Thank you.
All right, Brian. Thanks for chatting, man. Good luck at Talladega. It's Brian McCann, your runner-up here at Dover Motor Speedway. Next, we're going to talk the driver, the number 15 Charity Motorsports entry. That's Garrett Johnston. We'll pull him up into the broadcast booth, get a word with our third-place finisher. Garrett, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got us?
Yes, sir, I do.
Garrett, congratulations, man. A strong run here tonight. We watched you quite a bit here this evening, battling for position at multiple times throughout the course of this race. You drive it to a third-place finish from a 9th place starting position, I believe it was. 7, 8, 9, no, 10th place. Walk us through your race, man. What was the key to success here tonight?
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it clean and drive smart early on, not burn it up too much. Obviously, as things have it, every bit of strategy you have goes out the window, because what I was expecting to happen never happened. But I once we went green there for that second to last run, I pretty much had it in my mind I was going to do a short stop just to try and give myself a fighting chance. I knew I probably wasn't going to win it, but I pretty much accomplished what I was after, just trying to get a podium. So yeah, staying clean and being smart towards the end, I think, helped me out there. A lot of the people around me ended up getting into a little bit of a scuffle at different times on their own or with other cars or whatever. So definitely paid off to just be consistent.
Well, certainly an impressive run out of the number 15 here tonight to bring it home into that third spot. We look forward to Talladega Super Speedway next week, and you and your Charity Motorsports teammates, do you have a plan of attack next week?
What is it that one guy said? Just gonna not lift until I see the wall or the checkered flag or whatever he said. So that's basically my strategy.
That'd be our buddy Andy J out of Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm just gonna wear out that right foot and or maybe drop a weight on the right pedal there and see how it goes.
All right, Garrett. Well, again, congratulations. A top 3 finish here at Dover. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thank you guys for doing this every week. Thanks to Wally for putting the show on and setting all this up to come back to. It's definitely a fun way to start the new year. Always a pleasure on Monday nights. Shout out to everyone watching at home, Dad, Grandma, Aunt, everyone, and we will see you guys for a bunch of flat-footed racing next week.
All right, Garrett. Thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck at Talladega.
All right, thanks, sir.
It's Garrett Johnston, your third place finisher here at Dover Motor Speedway. That's going to wrap up the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look at our official race results. Of course, we talked to our top 3, Adam Pettit, Brian McCann, Garrett Johnston. 4th place was Chuck Sweeting. Brandon Mefford finished in the 5th spot. Daniel Dow was 6th. 7th, Chris Mefford. 8th went to Neil Quick. 9th was Steve Durbin. 10th, Matt Kopp. 11th, Doug Wysocki. Matt Koch was 12th. Todd Kleek, 13th. 14th went to Casey Benz. Chris Wally was 15th. William Tyndall, 16th. Tim Schofield, 17th. 18th was Josh Funkhauser. And last but not least, 122 laps down, Kyle Turzak in the 19th spot after an incident on track put him out of this one earlier than anticipated. But that'll wrap up our broadcast here tonight from Dover Motor Speedway. Thank you guys all for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, hit that thumbs up, whether it's at HBR TV or IROC TV or Track Limits Network. Man, I got to break that habit. But we do dual stream here, IROC TV and Track Limits, so if you haven't done it with both, give both streams a thumbs up. It helps us immensely. Gets fresh eyeballs on the channels, also fresh eyeballs on the league. Maybe pick up some new drivers that might be interested in running in the IROC Challenge series here going forward. So with that, again, thank you all for being here tonight. Congratulations to Adam Pettit. We'll see you guys next week at Talladega Super Speedway.